Right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, it seems like it's a rite of passage for all SNY on-air employees to join the Right podcast, and we're going to keep that trend rolling along here today.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Yeah, she recently moved back home. She's with SNY now. She bounced around a little bit before then, but we're really happy to have her on. Niki Lattarulo. Niki, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Excited to have you on here. And like we said, so many SNY greats have joined us, and you get to join that list here. So we are going to get right into it with what we do with all of our guests, talk about the beginnings here. So, Joe, take it away.
What was it like growing up in northern New Jersey? And as somebody who recently moved to Jersey City last year, I moved to Jersey City right outside the Holland Tunnel. I'm very well-versed and experienced when it comes to going down the Jersey Shore to party.
Yes.
So what was it like growing up in northern New Jersey? And before you moved away for your career, did you experience having some summers down the Jersey Shore?
I did. I actually grew up always going to Belmar, Spring Lake, Seeger, all those places with my family. It's not that close. It's like an hour and 15 minutes from where I lived. My mom always had us up and at 'em at like 6 a.m. to go down the shore for just the day because we're big beach people. And then obviously as I got older, I would leave my family behind and go do the DJs and Bar A and Parker House and all those things. But I really only got one summer of that because I turned 21 the beginning of my senior year of college. So I was kind of young. So I only had that one summer right after graduation. And then I moved to Texas in July. So I had like May and June to get all of my Jersey partying out of my system. And then I moved. But I still, now that I'm back, I'm like, okay, at least I've still got some more years of being a Jersey girl and getting that out of my system while I'm like an adult. But it's really fun. I love the Jersey Shore. Nothing compares to it. I got to say, being landlocked in Texas and in Tennessee was not good for my beach personality.
So Joe mentioned it, northern New Jersey, close to Manhattan.
Yes.
People in northern New Jersey tend to like specific sports teams. I don't want to stereotype you, but what are the teams you like?
So I'm a Yankee fan. I'm also a Chiefs fan, which is kind of random. And then I'm a Knicks fan for basketball. I'm not like a huge hockey fan. So this year when the Rangers and Devils were playing each other, my family's Rangers fans, but we don't have any sports in Jersey. Like we don't have any of our own team. So I was like, I kind of want to root for the Devils. I was a New Jersey Nets fan back before they left us. So then I kind of transferred over to a Knicks fan. But those are my teams. I love college basketball, UConn. I was a big Dan Hurley fan because he helped me a lot at Rhode Island when he was there. So I went to Rhode Island. So I root for UConn. My brother goes there, but I also went to Texas and covered Baylor. So I kind of claim Baylor football and basketball as my college team. So kind of all over the place.
Perfect segue. How was it attending the University of Rhode Island? And do you have any specific instances or stories about Dan helping you out?
Yeah, I loved Rhode Island. I would do it again in a heartbeat. We didn't necessarily have like a broadcasting program at the time. Now they do. But when I was there, I was just like a regular journalism communications major. So when I was trying to get into the industry, I didn't know how to do it. So I kind of went to the basketball team. They were really good at the time. I was like, could someone help me? And the SID and Dan Hurley were like, come to practice, come with us to games. Like you can come to the NCAA tournament, you come to the A10 with us. So Dan was always so helpful. Like they won the regular season title. And I was like, he just like came over and let me interview him. It was a god awful interview at the time. I was not very good, but I credit a lot of like where I've been able to go right from college to Rhode Island, the athletic department. They were really helpful with me. Yeah, he was just like really nice and understanding for like a young student reporter trying to figure it out. So yeah, everyone there was super helpful. And I love Rhode Island, beautiful state, love the school. Highly recommend if anyone is interested.
But it's also in a weird in-between area because you're kind of closer to
Yeah.
Boston than you are to the major cities in Connecticut, like Hartford, and you're definitely far away from New York. So in terms of activities and internships, how easy or difficult was it to get those?
I think it was easier for me because there wasn't as many students trying to do the sports broadcasting thing. Whereas if you're at a big school like Syracuse or one of those schools that are known for broadcasting, everyone's going out for the same internships. Whereas for me, all the local Providence stations, I interned at each one of them. I kind of like did too many internships. I didn't know. I was so nervous about getting a job. I also interned at ABC in the city. So I did 4 internships, 3 of them were unpaid. So I don't think you need to do that many, but I was stressed out about the first job. I just kind of reached out and they were like, yeah, come on board. So it really wasn't that hard to get the internships. The first one, I had to kind of like figure out what I was doing because I didn't even know how to like get involved. But no, Providence Market was great because they cover all the Boston sports and all like obviously the Patriots and all that. And then I know a lot of people do intern at like the Connecticut stations if they're from there. But I think for sports, those are more of like a weird market because there's not like any pro sports in the area. So I do think Providence was really good. And I learned a lot from the reporters because they were also MMJs, which is what I ended up doing. So I learned a lot from them.
So before we talk about your professional career, let's talk about your time competing in the Miss Teen New Jersey
Oh,
pageant,
yeah.
Miss Rhode Island, USA. So tell us about your pageant.
Oh,
days.
God, you're digging that out. I'm not a pageant girl by any means. I just did it because, so I remember when I was younger, like Laura Rutledge and like Allie LaForce, all those like big time sports people were title holders at some point. I think Garen Austin, who was at Nesson at the time, was like Miss Nebraska or something. So I was like, oh, this is a good way to one, work on public speaking, interview skills, just like learn how to be around other women. And it was a good experience. I again, I'm not like a pageant girl. I didn't grow up like in the South where that's a big thing, but doing it in New Jersey and Rhode Island, I actually met like some of my best friends now that were like my roommates at the pageants. And then I actually won the interview award in the New Jersey pageant, which was good because I was like, okay, at least and that's something that will help me like my interview skills and things like that. So that was good, but that was short lived. I did 2 pageants and I was like, I don't know, this is expensive and not necessarily my thing, but I do think it helped me with public speaking and interacting with other people and interviews and things like that. So maybe I'll be in a pageant again one day, but as of right now, I don't see that in my future.
So when did you see your future crystallizing in the sense that you wanted to pursue a career in sports broadcasting? Was it before college or was it during college when you realized that?
No, it was when I was like 8 years old. So like when I was really young, I loved Kim Jones. She was the Yankee clubhouse reporter. And I was like, how did she get this job? This is so cool. But also I was like a child and didn't like know how difficult it actually was, especially then to be a girl going into the industry was like so much more unheard of, honestly. So I just always kind of like watched videos. I would like look up on YouTube like reporter fails and like I just thought it was like funny. And then I think it was, I don't know what year it was. The Yankees had won like the ALCS or something and Derek Jeter like poured the champagne on Kim's head and I was like, I have to do this. Like this is what I need to do. So I kind of just started practicing and like listing the starting lineups and things like that. And then I just in high school, I did the morning announcements. I anchored the like student newscast. I would like be the one walking around the hallways interviewing people. And then when I went to college, I was like, okay, I didn't really pick a school that's known for this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I kind of just like went on my own and figured it out. But it was definitely when I'd probably say I was in like 5th grade, maybe when that happened. I have to look up what year it was, maybe like 2007 or 2008. So it was something I always knew.
Kim Jones, very nice person. Have met her. I interned at
Really nice.
WFAN. First day I met her, it was like around Christmas time. She gave me a nice little Christmas gift. So
she is really
good things
nice.
about Kim Jones for sure.
Yes.
But you go to college, you do all these internships. You're tell us about how you're during those times putting together all your reels and how you ended up sending those things out to ultimately get that first job in Temple, Texas with KCEN-TV.
Yes. So my reel was mostly from my student reporting. So my junior year, I started student reporting for the Good 5 Cent Cigar, which is the student newspaper. But they didn't have, the studio at the time was like old and they were going to renovate it. They were in the works of like something. It wasn't renovated when I was there. It was after, but they were like knowing they were going to, so it wasn't really being used. So I did the student newspaper, student newscast, and then, but none of that stuff like looked good enough to honestly put on a reel. So I borrowed a camera from the film school and I would just go to the practices, media availabilities, games, and just like shoot stand-ups and like try to interview players when they came out. And then I used some of that for my reel. But my senior year, the athletic department brought me on as like their actual like website reporter. I wasn't getting paid or anything. I wasn't getting any credits, but it was just like good for they always credentialed me and it was good just to like learn. So a lot of that stuff was used for my reel, and then a couple things for my internship at WPRI when I traveled with them for Patriots and stuff. And then also, what's the NBC station? WJR, Frank Carpano is the sports director. He would let me come in whenever I wanted to do anchor reads in the studio. So a lot of that was on my reel. So kind of just building relationships with those people to let me like use the equipment. The reporters would always help me like get in focus for my look lives, like the reporters from the station. So my stuff looked good. And then how I got the job, I kind of went on a Facebook group with all girl reporters. And I was like, does anyone know of any sports openings? And I did go on a couple of interviews to like places that were really small markets. And I was like, I just don't think I can do this. Like, I'm from New Jersey. It's such a culture shock. I was like, I don't know if I can go to like North Dakota or Louisiana. And like nothing against any of those states. But when I went on these visits, I was like, I know I'm going to want to come home. So when someone reached out and said that the Waco market had a number 3 sports person, which was half news and half sports, I didn't want to do news, but I was like, Waco is good for a first market, has college football, has big high school football. It seemed like a good place to be as a 21-year-old. So I applied for that job and I didn't even go out and visit. I just took that job and the rest is history. It was a really good first market, especially because Baylor was so successful while I was there.
Smart thinking. And then eventually you got to Nashville, which is
Yes.
one of the more fun cities in the country. I got to
Yes.
visit it last year for the first time and I loved it. So you moved to Nashville, you got to work for WSMV. I imagine you were thinking like, okay, I'm not going to be going home immediately after this first job. Then I have to take a step up and try to get the in-between, right? So what other cities were you looking to apply to? And ultimately, how did the opportunity to work at WSMV materialize?
So I had in my mind, so I stayed in Waco a little bit longer than my contract just because COVID happened while I was there. So I had to do like a full year of just news. So I stayed like 2.5 years in Waco and I was like, if I can't go home, because I knew I wasn't going to come to New York, the number 1 market, as a 23-year-old. Like I wasn't trying to get home. I was just trying to get somewhere with an airport, which Waco didn't have like a major airport that you could fly directly home. And somewhere that would be fun to live in. So like my work-life balance was a little bit better than it was in Waco. So I didn't really interview at a lot of places. It was like Nashville kind of came up early on in looking for jobs. I think I got that job March and my contract was up in May. So I went there for an interview, loved it, and just like accepted the job. I didn't really look around because I was like, what's going to be better than Nashville? There's NHL, there's SEC, there's NFL. I was like, there's nothing that is missing here other than MLB, which is my favorite. But I was like, I'll eventually cover that. And it's so fun to live here. Like it won't be an issue with the work-life balance. And it was so fun. I worked on weekends, but it was still so fun. Like I made really good friends. And yeah, it was tough to leave there because it was so fun. But I obviously was like, if I have the opportunity to go home, I can't not go home. But Nashville is so fun. Like one of the best places to live.
All right. So Nashville, you had a great time. And Joe had a great time there last year as well. But there's nothing like the Big Apple here in New Jersey. As both of you are in New Jersey now, work in Manhattan. So how did you hear about the opportunity for SNY? Who did you speak to in order to get your name thrown in there? And ultimately, how'd you make it all happen? And what was the move like back up north?
I think it's always somewhere that I've had my eye on just because it's a regional, which is doable at like a younger age rather than being like, oh, I'm going to go immediately to CBS and be like their main sports person. Like a regional, I always knew would probably be my next step if I can find one that fit with what I wanted to do. And obviously I always wanted to come home. So I always have my eye on SNY, especially because they cover everything. It's not just like, okay, just the Mets, or like just, because some regionals are just like one sport and then there's all paid programming during the other times of the day. Like this is a place where you get reporting experience, you get studio experience, and you're in New York. Like you honestly can't beat it. So yeah, I kind of was always had my eye on them, and being from around here, kind of like I knew people and like, you know, so there was a magazine that I was on the cover of for my hometown, not my hometown, my home county, 201 magazine. And when that magazine came out, like a lot of people, I got more in contact with people because people around here were seeing me rather than just people in Texas at the time. So I kind of was like always in contact with people of when an opportunity could come up, when I was ready to come home. Obviously I wasn't ready to be in New York when I was 23 and I was trying to leave Texas. So yeah, kind of just came up and it fit my time frame. It fit what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do career wise, personally. So everything, just the stars all aligned, and I was like, I have to come home. So here I am. I abruptly moved home, and now I'm in my childhood home, which is interesting, but got to do it.
Let me ask you a question. We
Yes.
asked this question to a bunch of people. In terms of representation, have you always represented yourself, or did you hire an agent somewhere in one of your two stops before you got to SNY?
I do have an agent. I've had one since I was looking for my second job, which really helps. I tell people it has to be right for you. It has to be someone that you trust. It has to be someone that like can help you locally and getting out of local. So for me, it worked out, but it's like a personal, I think, like it depends what you're looking for. If you're trying to go from Waco to like a market similar in size, and it's like, okay, I don't know if you necessarily need one, but if you're trying to get back home or like a specific place, it makes the process a little bit easier. Unless you're open to just going anywhere and you can just like be waiting for jobs to pop up.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Everybody has a different response to it, and it's all about what you think you're going to need. But so far, it's working out for you.
Yes.
Now, as I mentioned before, we've had many SNY employees on with us, and everybody has a different answer to this question. We asked Michelle Margot this. We asked Shanae Coakley this. When are you deciding what you're going to wear for your hits or your broadcast? Do you keep your clothes there? Do you wear it in? Hair and makeup, what's your process there? Michelle said she's got a hair and makeup, her outfit all ready to go before she leaves her house and she gets there. Janae says she just comes in and then she figures it out and decides everything at the studio. We talked to Sal Licata about his suit selection and John Harper. They said they leave it there, they decide there. So explain to us your whole process there, getting ready for a show.
Okay, I'm new. So like for me, my hair and makeup is done when I come in. Like I have to leave for work in a little bit. So I already got ready. My outfit's laid out just because one, I don't have that much studio clothing yet, because in my last two jobs, I was mainly like field reporting. Mm-hmm. So I'm still trying to figure out like what looks best in the studio there, when I'm sitting, when I'm standing up. Do I want to be in pants, a dress? Like I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm always the come in with your makeup on, because I want to go in and focus on like the show and what I'm saying and stuff like that. And not that my makeup takes long to do, but that's an added step that I don't want to have to do when I'm there. Or like, what if something comes up and I need to be in studio? It's different now because I'm not at like a news station, but when I was at a news station, like breaking news could happen anytime. I guess breaking news can happen here, but in local TV, it was just me. I was the only one producing, editing, shooting. So like I needed to be ready because anything could happen. I could be sent out to something. So I also have like a little bit of time anxiety. Like I'd rather just be ready and not have to worry about it. I don't go in my outfit just because I don't want to be walking around or on public transit in like a dress and heels. Right. Yep. Just because like, I don't know, I get sketched out. I'll always come in like leggings and like a t-shirt or like a sweatshirt or whatever, just whatever I feel most comfortable in and most covered up in on like public transit. And then I have like a rolling suitcase, which people have already started making fun of me for. They think it looks like there could be like a dog in there or something. But that has like my shoes, my dress, my makeup, hair stuff, just so I don't have to carry it back and forth, or I don't want to buy a whole separate makeup and hair thing to leave there. So I just bring it back and forth in like a rolling bag. Like bringing out my competitive cheer days where I had like the rolling suitcase of all my stuff. So that's what I do. I think as I get more comfortable, I'll be like, oh, I could just do my hair when I get there or whatever. But right now, I am fully ready. It's also kind of a long commute. So I have to obviously fix my hair and makeup when I get there. And I don't go on till 11 p.m. So my hair being done at 1 o'clock doesn't last as long, but I think I'm just used to having everything on for like 12 hours just from local TV, the long days.
Yeah. So what time, if you're doing a bunch of different roles there, if you're doing sports at 11, what time are you getting there? And how's the snack situation looking in the break room?
I think it depends. I know some people don't need that much time when they get there. I need to leave early because it takes me like an hour and a half to get there just with traffic and everything. It's like so bad. So I think you can get there literally whenever you feel comfortable. Like I can get there now and start looking at my stuff, or I could probably get there at like 7 and no one's gonna, it's as long as you think you need. So I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I haven't solo anchored yet. Today is my first time doing that. So I need to get there extra early just so I can know what's going on, and be extra comfortable with all the content. But the snack situation, there's a soda, like fountain soda machine, and that's dangerous because I don't drink soda or I only really drink water, and I'm like drinking soda. And I'm like, this is not good. Because I'm like, oh, it's right there. And there's snacks. There's like good snacks like Cheez-Its and all the good stuff. But I don't really, I'm not a big eater before I go on air, which is probably something I need to figure out. But I don't want to, I get anxious and then I get like nauseous.
Well, that'll all change for you when the Mets are playing at a 10 p.m. game on the West Coast, and you're going to be going on at 1:30 in the morning.
Literally, then I'll be hungry.
Having the sodas. But
exactly.
Thanks for sharing that behind the scenes insight there. We asked the hard pressing questions.
Exactly.
For sure. So if you could interview any athlete or maybe non-athlete, a celebrity or reality TV show star, who would it be?
It's a good question. When I was younger, if you'd asked that question, I would have said A-Rod because he was like my favorite of all time. But now I'm like, it's too basic. Like
that's a good answer.
I would love to interview him just because there's so much more to him than like baseball. Like there's so many things I'd want to ask. But now, if like right now that question, I would love to interview Simone Biles because I always grew up doing cheer and gymnastics. So like, I want to know about what it's like to be at the Olympics. And then of course she came out with all the mental health stuff. And I would love to know how she was strong enough to come out about that. And like the reaction of people and how she deals with all that. And then also like the pressure. I think she's like very interesting. But like off the cuff, if I had to interview an athlete, it would be A-Rod. But like a more good answer would be Simone Biles.
Both very good answers. Both be very different interviews. That's for sure. I think A-Rod's a good choice. The Timberwolves owner. I mean, how often do you get to interview an owner of a basketball team?
You got to manifest that for her.
If I saw A-Rod, like I do not fangirl over anybody. I don't know if I'd be able to really internally, I wouldn't be able to. Externally, I'd be keeping it cool. But then I'd have to be like, can I please get a picture? Which I never do.
Fair enough.
We're manifesting that for you.
Please manifest it.
So, Niki, what would you say in your life or your career has been your I'm right moment? What I mean by that is a time or place where you wanted to pursue something, you asked somebody for advice, they're like, don't do that. That's not going to work. That's an awful idea. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And ultimately, you will see why it is that I'm right.
Oh, actually, I know that right off the top of my head. When I was a sophomore in college, I went to my advisor and I told him, like, what should I change my major to? I don't think that like communications is really helping. Like, how do I do on air stuff? And he was like, you're honestly like not in the right place. Like, you might need to transfer. We don't have anything to do that. And he's like, every girl your age wants to be a sports broadcaster. Like, you're not different than some like kind of rude answer. He was like, you're not really like gonna stand out unless you play a sport or whatever. And he was like, okay, can you name like this many people on the Wizards? And I was like, and it's just like the typical answer you hear people say to girl reporters that are like, okay, name 2 people on this team. And you're like, okay, I can, but I'm not going to, because I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. But I remember he said that and I literally left crying and I was like, I got to transfer or I need to switch my major. And then my parents were like, no, you don't have to. You've wanted to do this. Like, you're fine. And if you don't like it when you graduate, you're 18, you could switch it. Like, who cares? And then I was like, now I'm like, I don't know where he is or if he sees anything, but I'm like, thank God I didn't listen to that. And like, it was just a typical, like, I don't know why some people act like that, but it was one of those things where I was like, I was tried to be put down and I didn't let it. I kept doing it. And I ended up, I mean, now they have a whole sports broadcasting major. They have a new studio. And I'm like, I feel like I helped get the ball rolling with that. And now students always reach out like, how did you do this? I go to you where I want to do what you're doing. And I'm like, I love helping all the students that go there. And I'm like, if I would have listened to that guy, who knows what would have happened if I would have got out of the industry and then been doing, I don't know, a job I didn't actually want to be doing.
Niki, we thank you for your time so far. We
Yes.
appreciate it. Now that you're back in New York, Nick and I, we know the best places in and around the city to get food.
Yeah.
I know you're a Jersey girl. You're probably used to Jersey places, but you're going to be in Manhattan more. So you let us know. We know the best pizza spots. If you need late night Chinese food, we'll be more than willing to help you out with that. Last question from me. And I'm going to be honest, I cheated a little bit because it's on your Twitter. So I tend to be more of the spiritual person and the astrology person between the two of us, which is a little odd. Usually it's not really a guy's thing. Again, I saw your birthday on Twitter, so I can't answer this question. So I have to defer to Nick. And Nick, you're going to have to guess this one. What do you think Niki's zodiac sign is?
Oh
I'm not
my
a big
God.
zodiac signer, but
Do you want a hint, Nick?
I'm going to say Leo.
that's
How do
true.
you- how do you-
Am I right?
No, you
That's
definitely-
two
you
guesses in a row, and I
absolutely
nailed
not.
it.
No, you cheated.
I did not look.
You
Everyone
cheated.
says I act like a Leo. I don't know exactly what the
What does that mean, Joe? That Leo?
Yeah, can you explain? Because I honestly don't know.
Okay, so Leo is the 5th zodiac sign. It's a fire sign. It's a fixed sign. Basically, people who are Leo are like being the center of attention, not really so much in a self-centered way. That's why you see a lot of performers and entertainers in the sign of Leo. They're very regal people, right? Very dignified. They have good hearts. So my mom is a Leo, and fun fact, Leos usually have great hair. Just think about hair because they're represented by the line. What does the line have? Great hair.
I used to have terrible hair because I used to have blonde hair. Don't look up pictures. It was terrible.
Oh, you were blonde? Really?
I had like yellow hair. It was tragic.
What is your natural hair color?
This.
That is your
I
natural
don't have
hair?
any color in my hair, so it's natural. I don't have any photos in this room of my blonde hair, but you could find it if you look.
Sure. We'll
It wasn't good.
We'll do further research, and then the next time we
Yeah.
have you on, I'll have a picture of it. Anyway, Niki, thank you for your time. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
guys.
Once again, what we do here is we always give our guests the last word. So if there's anything you would like to share, or if anything else you would like to promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. We wish you the best of luck at SNY. Hopefully, again, we'll have you on soon, just like the rest of the SNY staff, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed being on here, and we will chat soon. I'll definitely hit you up for the food recommendations. I'm not a big foodie, but I have to now that New York food is much better than Texas and all that jazz.
Texas has good barbecue food, doesn't it?
It does, but I don't really eat meat.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Like the
okay, it
pizza.
wasn't,
The pizza, yeah.
the pizza wasn't good in Texas.
No,
No, of course not.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I just eat like bagels and pizza now. I have to get it all. I have to eat all of it, and then I'll start being healthy.
Fair enough. So, Niki, we wish you the best of luck. If you're in
Thank you.
DJs this summer, you'll probably run into Joe. So the two of you could have a blast down there. You got to get down there before you get too recognizable.
I have to start.
Before you get too recognizable and everyone swarms you. But that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Niki, my co-host, Joe. I am Nick, and this has been You Know I'm Right.